Alright, House of Payne fans, here we are for the review, episode 14 of season 1, entitled Been a Long Time. Ella takes her birthday matters into her own hands. Janine tells CJ what she found in Jasmine's pockets. Janine and CJ school Ella and Curtis. Now, before going further in the video, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, follow me on social media, links are in the description box below, and hit the bell notification icon, select all, and allow all notifications to go through. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content. Now, this is something that I wanted to bring up because I didn't know. It was brought to my attention because I remember on Wednesday night, I watched the first 8 minutes of the episode, and I decided to watch something else just because it was slowly paced for my taste. And later that night, I actually got some messages from people, and I'm not going to put this particular photo on the screen due to something that happened a couple months ago involving a script, and I'm not going to relive that. So just trust me when I say, based on some behind the scenes photos from the filming of this season, it seems that episode 14, the one that came on Wednesday night, was actually supposed to be the first episode of the season. And based off a lot of key dialogue in the episode, specifically when Curtis is talking with Calvin, CJ, and then Ella, there's a lot to back it up. So this episode, I believe, based on the production number and the script number, this should have been the first episode of the season. So let's just jump into it. Honestly, I don't even know what to score the episode. I'll let you know by the end of the video if I figure out. If not, don't worry about it. I thought it was a pretty decent episode, but at the same time, if somebody didn't tell me that this was supposed to be episode 1, then I would have been scratching my head for most of the episode. Now, it starts off with Curtis talking with CJ and Calvin, and he's being incredibly forgetful for some reason. So basically, he's asking all these questions about Calvin, you still married to Miranda? Are you divorced yet? CJ, how old are your kids? How old are your kids? You still with Janine? Well, I just haven't seen you in so long. Just that kind of dialogue is, yeah, this if this was the first episode of the season, it would have made a lot more sense than it being episode 14. I got a huge gripe about the ages, Malik being 20 and Jasmine being 17. I'm going to try to not rant. I just recorded my assisted living review before this one, and I did so with a calm demeanor. And I'm going to try to do the same here. I will do a separate video on the ages because Malik being 20 and Jasmine being 17 is absolutely ridiculous. And that would mean that Malik was in college during the last season or two of House of Payne. So for him to be 20, again, I'll do an entire video on that. I'm not going to do it here. All I got to say is that makes no sense, but whatever. Long story short, Curtis actually remembers an anniversary, a birthday. Basically, something important's coming up with Ella, and he wants CJ and Calvin to plan a party. And he needs it done at ASAP. Basically, not at this house, but at CJ's house. And from there, Curtis tries to get Ella out of the house. I believe he shoves Calvin and CJ into the closet while Ella's about to go to church or something like that, or the youth center, or she's about to go out of the house to take care of some stuff. And this is where I do have a bit of a complaint because I don't hate Ella and Curtis. I don't like, though, how Ella's being written to be more on Miranda's side than Calvin's. Not to mention Curtis just being this man-child. Not to mention, on top of that, every episode this season that has Curtis and Ella, I feel like the scenes are just drawn out far too long. I get their back and forth banter, but we don't need every episode to have like a 5 to 10 minute scene where Curtis and Ella are just getting on each other's nerves, specifically Curtis on Ella's nerves. But that's just me. So one of the most intriguing parts of this, and this is something that will answer a question, and this is why this should have been episode 1. Ella asked, wait, you were tossing and turning in your sleep last night. What was going on? I had a dream. Cause what? I heard you mention your cousin Joanne, and then Florida, and then a laundromat, and you remember the stolen money? Yeah, it was like a big mess. So, guys, this is official confirmation. The Payne series never happened in the main timeline continuity of House of Payne. Let me say that again. The Paynes is non-canon. If you are an anime fan, you know what non-canon means. Similar to Dragon Ball GT. It's a series that happened, but it is not attached to the main series timeline. So you got like Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super, and then Dragon Ball GT is kind of over there in the corner. So in this case, you have the first 8 episodes of House of Payne. Then you have season 9 of House of Payne, while the Paynes is over there in its own corner. So that pretty much answers the question. And I love when Curtis said a big mess. So I don't know if that's Tyler Perry addressing the fact that he realized the Paynes was a show that bombed. So yeah, so here's something we can actually confirm. Joanne is canon to the main House of Payne series, given the fact that Ella mentioned that Curtis was bringing up Joanne. So Joanne and the characters from the Paynes most likely are in Florida, but in terms of the season we got of the OWN network, the Paynes did not happen. So there we go. We can put that to rest. All right. So from there, Ella leaves, and then Curtis gets Calvin and CJ from the closet, and then Janine comes in. Curtis is still going on about the birthday party. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Janine shows up, and Calvin left. I think Calvin left. Another thing that mentions, what they're up to now. Calvin's like, hey, Pops, I got a good job now. I was like, what? It must have been a long time. So yeah, just looking at the title, been a long time. That definitely sounds like the kind of title for a show that's been gone for a long time, as opposed to episode 1 being entitled A Wise Man's Opinion. So also no Malik or Jasmine in this episode. So from there, Janine comes over, tells CJ about the fact that she found weed mints and vape pen in Jasmine's pockets. And here we get to selfish Curtis, which again, I'm not really much of a fan of. I get that this is character, but it's like, yeah, you just heard that your great niece has drugs in her possession, in her pockets. And instead of trying to straighten her out, you're more concerned about planning a surprise party at her parents' house. And it's like, Uncle Curtis, we need to deal with our daughter first before the party's like, well, go play in the party and Bibles and in a choir and she likes all that stuff. So they all leave. And basically CJ and Janine are sitting on the couch. A good scene here, because Janine brings up that she feels guilty thinking that this is her fault due to being a bad influence. I like that, because that's really how a good parent thinks. Because they recognize their own faults, and it's like, I was addicted to drugs while Malik and Jasmine were at a young age. So what kind of an impact would that have had on them? And could that have been a reason Jasmine has these things in her possession? And that would actually crush her. But then CJ, reaffirms her that, basically, yes, Janine did backslide a few times, but at the end of the day, Jasmine is grown. So it's just a matter of having that talk and figuring out, if these are really hers, where did she get them, and they'd go from there. And while they're trying to figure it out, because they're trying to switch focus to the surprise party, Ella comes in, hooty hoo, and basically says that she wants to plan her own party because she suspects that Curtis didn't remember her birthday. And she's like, oh yeah, I want Bibles, a different Bible on every table, and I want flowers on the Bible. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then from there, she notices the drugs, and then apparently she knows the marijuana. And then she's thinking Janine's has these, then she thinks it's CJ's, and then they talk about it being Jasmine. She's like, look, I work at that youth center, and I know these things when I see them, the vape pens and whatnot. So yeah, they kind of, have a little bit of repetitive dialogue because, we're used to it by now. It closes out the episode, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, this definitely was originally the first episode, and I can tell based off a lot of dialogue. So, with that being said, should I rate this as episode 14, or should I rate this as how the show should have officially started off? If this was the first episode we got instead of the one we did get in regards to Malik and Laura, I think this series probably would have somewhat started off at a better, on a better foot. Because to be honest, the first episode, more people were talking about how Malik looked different as opposed to how the show was actually presented. So, with that being said, I thought this was a pretty solid episode for what should have been the start for the series. So, I'm pretty confident in giving this episode a 7 out of 10. Yeah, no hesitation. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below of season 1, episode 14, or what technically should have been the first episode of the season. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.